Robert Frazier, a family man, was loved by many and known to the public as Auburn's first documented hometown mascot. Obby? No, not that type of mascot, and not what we should remember. We should remember that he was a father of many children, a hard worker, someone who was persistent in the face of oppression, providing for his family when the cards were against him. Robert Frazier, a family man. That's why we celebrate his life. We want to hold an event for his 100th anniversary of his death, and remind our community of his dedication and love for Auburn. At the beginning of the Centennial event, there will be an introduction to the day, Juneteenth. There will be a pamphlet given out at the entrance of the library highlighting the importance of the day. The pamphlet will also mention the irony and symbolism of Juneteenth and Robert Frazier. Even after nearly 60 years after emancipation, Robert Frazier could still not live fairly due to the lack of equality and freedom for African Americans. The pamphlet will include information such as Juneteenth is a day celebrating the emancipation of those enslaved in the United States because on June 19, 1865, the Union Army General Gordon Granger proclaimed emancipation in Texas. There will be posters on stands around the amphitheater with quick facts about the Centennial event and Juneteenth. This will give the audience important information that will hopefully open their minds to the discrimination that still occurred even in the U.S. after emancipation. Unfortunately, African Americans still face discrimination today, 155 years after emancipation. This event is just another small step forward to eliminating racial prejudice and discrimination towards African Americans. Robert Frazier did everything for his family, and it's only right that we recognize and honor that. The main event itself could be held at the amphitheater at the public library. To remember the event, pins will be handed out. To raise money to restore other unkept headstones of African Americans in the community, items such as t-shirts and refreshments could be sold to fundraise. For half the event, visitors can walk around, socialize with other people, and learn more about Mr. Robert Frazier and Juneteenth. While the socializing aspect of the event is happening, a short video cast on a projector will be playing on the background screen. We will hopefully collaborate with another group also researching the story of Robert Frazier to create the film. It will include moments of Robert Frazier's life and who he was. For example, it will talk about his family life and his work life. Towards the end, the film will cover what being a mascot at Auburn University, what Mr. Frazier might most commonly be known for, truly meant during this day and age. A character to poke fun at and serve for entertainment for the crowd, even in the most hurtful ways. Auburn University is working to improve race relations, so the video will address at the end. After the video plays and the audience has a grasp on who Robert Frazier is, we'll have his family, if any of them are willing of course, to come on stage and share how they were related to Mr. Robert Frazier and explain what his story means to them, how his story has affected their lives, and what they would want the world to know about Mr. Robert Frazier and his story. They could share stories about him and talk about what kind of person he was. If they don't live locally but want to share something about him, we could hold a Zoom call so they could talk about him. Because Mr. Frazier is most often known as being the first mascot of Auburn, the current basketball team and football team, if willing, will come to the event. A few African American players will then talk about how racial prejudices have changed in the sport, any discrimination they still might face to this day, and what more they believe can be done in Auburn to stop racism they may have experienced. At the end of the event, close friends and family of Robert Frazier will walk across the street to the cemetery where he is buried. It will be kept to those only close family because cemetery is a place of reverence. They will all congregate around his grave where we will unveil the headstone that has been restored. With the headstone, we will clean off all the dirt and mold. We will also make it easier to read. On a separate plaque, we will add his history and legacy, keeping his story alive to anybody who comes to the cemetery. By keeping the headstone and restoring it, it allows us to remember his past because you need not just move on but remember the past. While the family is watching the unveiling, there will be a reception for all the other guests at the amphitheater. It is important to know the history on who Robert Frazier really was. Not a mascot, but a man, a husband, a father, a son. Not taking defeat, but working hard despite the racism in society, creating a deeper meaning to Juneteenth. A powerful reminder that we can always grow as a people. Juneteenth is a day where we can show the striving spirit of African Americans and show Auburn's African American heritage.